For Jack, it would just get him into the next session. Oh, we're going to start. No, we're not going to start with a golden break. The one thing you would say with John, he's nowhere near his best, but he's won 2 matches, and as we kept saying, you can always improve if you keep winning. Jack played brilliantly yesterday for 2 matches and then went off the boil in match 3, which is why he lost and needed the extra life. But both players are capable of turning on at any time, and don't really know what to expect here because of that, really.
Yeah, I agree. I do think John is only really a couple of good frames away from really clicking into form. I think he's winning too many in a very scrappy way at the moment, which is probably proving slightly embarrassing for him. I think if he could just start getting a couple of break clearances, then maybe normal service would be resumed.
Well, his first shot there, he was miles away from what he was trying to do again. He was trying to go past the straight, and he left it, well, 3/4 ball on the short side. It was, you almost saw the shoulders slump just a touch when he played that first shot. Doesn't give much away when he's at the table there, but you can tell he's just not feeling it at the moment.
No, I mean, he's just got to get through this match, really. I think if he gets through the match, we're going to the mid-session break anyway. We'll be resuming in a couple of hours' time. He'll be in the hot seat. Time to regroup and come again. Obviously, it's pretty binary. He's either going to do that or he's going to be going home before the break.
Yeah, if he does get himself in the hot seat, though, I mean, there'll be 9 players coming back for the final session. He would then avoid the next 3 matches because of being in the hot seat, and unless one player wins all 3, he would remain in the hot seat for match 4 as well. So basically, that's where the hot seat ends, by the way. The final 5 players is where we lose our hot seat, and then it becomes everyone's fair game. And essentially, it will feel to John like this gets him in the final 5, this match here.
Yeah, which is by no means a surprise coming into it, but having watched the last 2 matches, you might say it is a bit of a surprise if that was possible. For Jack, he's got to go again. He won 2 in a row yesterday. Could have been a 3rd, but dip in standard of play, let that one slip. But obviously getting towards the business end of the tournament, good time to go on a deep run. Still a few players, of course, who we haven't seen, who now know that they won't feature until the evening session.
Yeah, I promise you Tom Cousins is playing in the tournament. Just haven't seen him yet. Hasn't looked likely. He's avoided all the draws. This is a visit that really sums up the way that John's feeling. He has not been anywhere on any single shot in this whole visit, and he has a very awkward 8-ball because of it.
Yeah, and it's not going to be lost on Jack. He'll have seen the last couple of matches. He'll know that John's a great player and that he has just beaten 2 other good players, but equally if he watches how it's happened, he'll know that he's likely to get some chances. Well, that kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
I think the reason he doesn't take the clean pot on is he's straight in off and he can't avoid it. That's why he's played the shot he played.
Now that double has rattled, he's got some trouble because this 8-ball isn't super close to a pocket, so not in a great place to pot out of this snooker, and if he doesn't pot it, Jack's got a choice of reds all over the table. Well, continuing his woes, doesn't even make contact with the 8-ball. Normally, if John McAllister's on a finish, you're just thinking it's absolutely gone, there's nothing really to talk about. But today, it doesn't really matter how straightforward the finish is, you're just wondering if something's about to go wrong.
Agreed. And whilst Jack will tell you that he was awful in his 3rd match yesterday, he missed maybe 2 chances in the match. It's not as though it wasn't a performance like we've seen from John where he's making multiple mistakes. It just happened to be that He made a couple of mistakes against Carl Sutton and they got punished. But in his 2 matches before that, he played brilliantly, and I don't see him playing as poorly as John has been in those 2 matches. And I'm not trying to be too critical on John here. He's a world-class player, but this is so far below his level. You can tell he's just not on it at all.
Yeah, Jack's been very self-critical talking to him between matches. I agree with you. I don't think his performance was that bad. He didn't quite keep up the standards for match 3, but we were talking about him as a potential tournament winner just before that, and there's no real reason why that's changed.
Although it is worth pointing out this first visit to the table here for Jack Whelan, he's had the cue ball absolutely nowhere as well, considering his first shot was cue ball in hand and he wasn't moving the cue ball very far. He left himself a terrible angle on his second shot, which is why he's now in trouble here on his 4th. So it's a slightly slow start here for Jack.
He's considered pots in all 4 of these reds, settled for the one up the table in the end. Slightly better, a little bit the wrong side of this ball, but closer to being in good position again.
Yeah, close enough to being in good position. Just use the cushion inside to get there.
Certainly not going to get a better chance to beat John than this one, given John was in first already in this frame. There's only 1 extra life available. Jack was the lucky recipient of that. Good opportunity to take advantage. So, not made to look as straightforward as it could have been from the position he was in with ball in hand, but Jack does get the job done, and to be fair to him, he did look very solid. He didn't look like missing any of the balls. It was just a few positional difficulties along the way, but recovered it well.
2, and then he'd get a couple of matches at Grace, and that's it.
Yeah, relatively poor timing all round, just before a couple of hour break as well. It's kind of nicer just to go away for that break and not be in the hot seat. I suppose at least there's some certainty. Whoever wins this match knows that, well, if it's Jack, knows that he'll be playing when he comes back. If it's John, he knows he'll be in the hot seat. One thing you've got to say, John's been getting plenty of table time for a man that's not making all of these chances himself. Seems that no matter what he misses, somehow he always gets invited back to the table.
Just wonder if he's considering bumping the 8 ball. I think if he's playing brilliantly and playing his normal level, I don't think he's considering it, but I wondered whether he gave a little bit of attention to it there.
On the club table there would certainly be a case for it. On this table it's a reasonably easy shot down the rail. As we've seen a few times, doesn't look completely comfortable on finishes. I mean, this one there is a bit more to think about, but we've seen a few that are relatively straightforward, where he really seems to be taking his time, almost talking himself out of what looks like the easy route to go. Quite got the perfect angle here. I don't know how close he's going to be able to get to his work, but still should be fine. So what he really needed to do, just run through, leave this mid-distance ball straight to the top left corner. Unmissable on a normal day, but frankly the way today's been going, you wouldn't quite say that.
Probably the cleanest visit to the table. He's taking a little bit of time on the shots, but the pattern's been pretty solid. He should end up with a natural here just to track behind the the 8 ball.
Yeah, this has been much better so far. He's had plenty of table time, of course, because he's been out there for the last 2 matches. That's a much better shot as well, cleanly struck. And this is a pretty good angle. This is about the best place to be playing this shot from. Much better that from John McAllister. Good one-visit clearance.
A little bit of a miss-hit break that from John. He still had a lot of balls flying into the top half, but not as clean as he normally catches the break.
No, you see the white immediately shooting over to the side, just north of the middle pocket, luckily for him, but still not a perfect hit. Not a bad layout. Bit limited on opening shots. But yellow's the choice, so we're going to go with the plant first.
First thing Jack did was come and look at the yellow by the 8 ball. Does it go bottom left once the other yellow's out the way? Does it go right centre? I think no to right centre, yes to bottom left. The fact that he's getting this one away tells us that yellow definitely goes, and you can see it there. Has to get rid of this one first though, which is why he's played on it early.
Looking pretty solid so far. He's had plenty of time since his last match. I know, sort of semi-jokingly, he seemed a bit disappointed to be staying around when he got that second life yesterday, but really when he rationalises it, it's a pretty good opportunity to still be in this tournament having lost a match. And he's now quite deep into it before he's had to play for a second time. Really good control to finish this. Previous counter clearance, a couple of moments he wasn't in prime position. This time he's kept really good control of the white. Just coming around to look at what angle he wants on the 8 ball. Loads of space to play in though. Seems like the pattern of play has returned to something a bit more conventional now. We've seen some very odd moments in the last couple of matches.
Put it on their own head or give it to somebody else. Kind of reaching the point in the tournament. It doesn't matter quite as much as it did earlier on when Jack made that decision for the Be More bounty on Chris's head, which he gave to Shane, which it felt quite relevant at the time. This time Jack has made a ball and a really good opportunity. Just a quick look at the plant in the centre. If you could get across underneath the 8 ball here, it would be ideal. And play the plant and then you're away. And the plant's quite nice because the planting angle is kind of the gap of the red and the yellow, and the yellow stops the red from going anywhere, and it should be fairly simple. Don't snook yourself though. Oh, he's got lucky. He has got lucky.
bring that yellow into play at all. But very glad to have slipped the far side of it. Not as played, but it's not in a bad position to recover from at least. Judged that well, didn't want to go that with too much pace and have the balls moving around. Just tried to keep everything pretty much where it was. No problem, obviously getting onto the last ball. It's just going to play a good positional shot from the ball that's over the pocket. The 8 ball in acres of space there in the middle of the table, so it doesn't need to be too precise. And this has been a good workmanlike performance from Jack Whelan. He's done what he needed to do. Seems to have been in pretty good touch. And the 8 ball clearance is complete. Much better standard of play now. It's like both players have properly got into this match.
A couple more games at least.
Yeah, well, it's a great spot for him because he's got the dinner break to come. Comes back tonight knowing that he'll still be in the hot seat if John doesn't stage this comeback.
Golden break would help. Not going to be. Nothing else drops. And a little bit of a horrible layout here, which I suspect should mean that Jack will slow this one down rather than attack. Try and chew up as much of the clock as you can. There's just no need to play an aggressive shot.
Yeah, this time's going to get used up quite quickly from this kind of position. 3 minutes 45 to go now, but if a few safety shots get played, it's going to get eaten up pretty quickly. John, of course, can't afford to get drawn into a safety battle at all. Not to say he has to go for the finish instantly, but needs to try and make something happen. It's not really a great spot to be chasing after either. He's got a couple of yellows in quite bad spots. Sometimes though, there's a simplicity to this position. He's not caught in two minds of thinking, do I attack or defend? He's really got little choice but to attack.
He would have got the cannon if he got the pot. Missed the pot thick. Missed the cannon on the 8 ball on the thick side as well. Bumped the jaw. Actually, it wasn't a terrible angle he left himself. I think the natural was perfect. Anyway, misses it, and Jack's going to make the decision to run the clock here. Reds are no problem to deal with, but the 8 ball is. But what we got? 2:20. 13, 14 seconds a shot. He already used his extension. Yeah, he's kind of could leave a little bit of time here for John just to run round. And the problem he's got is that, John broke these, didn't he? Yeah, John broke these, so it would be Jack's break. So.
Yeah, and as long as Jack just keeps potting balls, I think that time is going to probably be insufficient to do very much.
Yeah, and he should be able to, from getting this side of the balls as well. The red that he's on to right centre now is his ball. Play that off the 8 ball and then go up the table from it, and it pops the 8 into play. I suspect with 1 minute 25 still to go, he should still play it. Just because if he pots the 3 reds, he would leave seconds on the clock. No, he's played it clean. So he is going to leave about 35 seconds or so.
I suppose the fact that John needs 2 frames and it is Jack's break in the
Yeah.
next one means that
Agreed.
this probably is the right play. I think it's a different situation if it's John's break and there's the risk of the golden break. So he's going to pot this. There's going to be 40 odd seconds remaining. Takes his time to play the 8 ball even if he doesn't pot it. It's going to be a very tall ask. John doesn't really look like a man that's ready to come back to the table either. I feel like he should be ready to leap up. I think he's mentally thinking this is all over.
Yeah, Jack's got one of the best controls on his break than anybody in the game, and all he has to do, I'm surprised by that shot in all honesty, but all Jack would have to do if John was to get out here is to not foul on the break. That was a risk though, because he could easily have popped the 8 ball and a cue ball there, but anyway, it's worked out for him.
John's going to try, but he's going to run out of time. He's going to get down to the 8 ball, but won't have time to play it.
Yeah, Jack really did time that pretty well in the end. Kind of knew what he was doing, and it did make a difference, the fact that it was his break next.
But Jack, with your Be More can in your hand, your big ambassador you, we've got a decision to make, because you now get to choose what you do with that bounty. Obviously, it was Hitman versus Hitman. You don't get the nice little options of an instant win. You can either put that bounty money on your own head, or you can make someone else a Hitman. What do you want to do?
Can I have a look at the draw?
Yeah, absolutely you can. Let's bring up the list of players still in the competition. You can make any one of those players a Hitman. Available: Aaron Davies, Sean Chipperfield, Christy Caulfield, Ronan McCarthy, Josh Kane, Neil Rayburn or Carl Sutton. Any of those boys can join you as a Hitman.
I'm going to put the Hitman on Neil Rayburn.
Neil Rayburn. Okay, Neil Rayburn is now a Hitman. What's the thinking? I feel like you're playing some tactics here.
Because my old mate Ronan in the bar there said he's going to win it, so I'm going to leave him alone for a little bit. I know who I'm going to pick next.
Okay. Well, we're going to hold that. Okay.
Then I know I'm going to pick after that. So that gives you a little secret into what I'm going to do now.
Okay. He's been thinking about this. Maybe after yesterday's escapades, you've learnt some lessons, perhaps. What's happening next? Now, you can either go to the random draw and do the funniest thing ever, or you can pick your opponent. What are you going to do?
I want to pick.
Well, we don't need the graphic because they're all here in front of you, so you can tell them, look them in the eye and let them know who you're playing. TC's trying to catch your eye, I know. Who do you fancy?
Pick Aaron.
Aaron, come on in, mate. Straight away, nice and easy. Yeah, let's have a ripple. Start the crowd, Christy. I like that. Party starter as always.